So it's been a while. Welcome to 720 pixel video from an alleged YouTuber who has no camera and has barely put out scripted content in several months. Hi, my name is Will. If you don't know me, I'm I guess a content creator on YouTube. I don't know. It's been almost 15 years. Jesus Christ. Anyways, let's talk about BlerdCon 2021, of which I was in attendance to. And over the past couple days, there's been a lot of discourse regarding the outcome of a recent cosplay competition. Now, if you don't know, BlerdCon is a convention held in Arlington, Virginia. It's primarily for Black nerds, hence the name, but also additionally inclusive of other diverse populations, non-white peoples, differently abled peoples, differently gendered, sexuality, the whole shebangle. Basically anyone but good old cissexual, heterosexual white men. Yeah, all those marginalized groups. But the primary and initial audience is to kind of give space and allow for Black nerds to comfortably be themselves without, conflict or ridicule. It's supposed to be a happy group of support. Well, not group. It's supposed to be a happy con for support, embracing the culture, specifically nerd culture, from the lens of, being Black. So what happened? Let's talk about it, because my relation to it is kind of interesting. So over the weekend, myself and a good friend of mine, my best friend Devin, actually went up to the con. It was his first convention. He spoke to having a fantastic time. And if you'd like to see more photos of my experience at the con, please follow me. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram at WillTheGreatest. That being said, during the cosplay competition, it evidently went down that a young Caucasian woman won first place in the competition. And from what I can tell, of the three winners, the first, second, and third place, none of them were Black. So as a result, throughout the blerd discourse amongst social media, a lot of conversations have kind of been had about that decision. A lot of complicated and different conversations. And I guess I just kind of wanted to throw a little bit of my side into it, and also kind of see what other people were thinking. I don't know. I'm not perfect, but I'm gonna try and explain the best I can. What's funny is that about a day, like yesterday, I got a message from my buddy Malik, who's also on my podcast, the Ace Podcast. He drops by every now and then. He messaged me a meme that was saying, Black people, when they saw that a white person won the cosplay contest, he said, "You know anything about this?" I said, "No." Because funny enough, I walked into, one of my friends was sitting at the cosplay contest. I went to see her. I made it in time for a wedding that was actually happening. Got a lot of footage of that. And after they got married, said their vows and kissed, I actually left. I actually did hear them say, so after this, in about 5 minutes, we'll go back and give the final results of the cosplay competition. So I simultaneously was and wasn't there. I came in before it was announced, and then I came in and left before it was announced, and then came back later, actually after the competition ended. So I missed that 10-minute gap of when everything happened, and I was right outside the damn auditorium, or the hall where it was being hosted. So I'm kind of, oddly enough, even though I was at the event, I am taking it secondhand, as are a lot of people. And I've been speaking with a lot of other blerds regarding their opinions, getting input and intake, especially in what is very much seen as a safe, almost sacred space. Because being a Black nerd is, it's better than it was before. I've had a lot of extensive conversations with friends about what it was like growing up being a blerd, what a lot of relatability is like, knowing how people perceived you as a kid versus growing up into an adult, and being able to embrace it, not just being a nerd, but also being a nerd who's of a different background, a non-white background. How perception has changed a lot really fast. You know, not to give them all the credit, but I think Marvel really played a big role in helping it be popular and okay for people to embrace their nerdiness. So like nerdiness is a little bit cooler and more softer, but nonetheless, you know, black people have still caught moments of ostracization. You know, black cosplayers specifically. I have a good buddy of mine who cosplays all the time and has been called racial slurs on Twitter. Don the Blasian Demon. You should follow him as well. He's a great cosplayer and a very, very nice guy. Yeah. So in the creation of BlerdCon, of which I was actually, you know, funny enough, I was at the first one a couple years back. If you find my old vlogs, you'll actually see the video of me being in attendance and talking about the panels with, you know, CJ and Josh and everything from the old other YouTube channel. I have kind of interesting perspective because just like I've kind of been trying to ride for BlerdCon. I've missed 1 year. This would be their 4th one. I missed the 2nd one, made it to the 3rd one in 2019, made it to this one, which I believe is the 4th. I'm going to try and go to the 5th. But with all that being said, all that being out of the way, talking about how do I kind of feel about the white person winning the competition? I'll start up front by saying I don't think it's appropriate to bully or harass the winner. In speaking with one of my friends, an analogy she made is like, it's kind of like someone entering for a scholarship for a minority or diverse, you know, a non-white population, and getting the scholarship, even though it was intended kind of more for a different party, you know, and kind of being mindful of your presence in an environment that's, you know, it's open to you, but even down to the name explicitly, it may not exactly be one that's focused on you. You know, the optics of it are kind of weird. It's like, yes, you can, but you should probably be mindful of what that looks and how that could kind of perceive your character and your judgment. But no, I don't think anyone should be bullying this young lady. Looking at the costume, I believe she was doing Cardcaptor Sakura. And you know, if she made it all by hand, that's good. That's talented. It's like I've made a couple cosplays that I've worn. If you know me, you know, I love cosplaying. I always love wearing costumes to cons. It's why my hair is gray now. Again, go to my Instagram to see more of the photos. But nonetheless, you know, that's an accomplishment. You should be proud of that. However, the context of this, I think, makes it also a little tricky, wherein, and some people have kind of put out a couple things. A lot of black people may not exactly have the funds to afford to make cosplays, or they may not have the time. You know, I know personally, have I made cosplays? Yes. Have I? But I've bought more than I've made. I've made about 3 or 4. Of the ones I've bought, and it might be the same. It's about like five, maybe 6 that I've worn intermittently. But you know, being able to make your own cosplay may not be the most financially viable option for the average black nerd. So it might be a little easier to buy some. When I was walking around the convention, I saw a lot of people in bought cosplays. I wore bought cosplays. There's nothing wrong with bought cosplays. However, in a cosplay competition, one that's specifically built a little bit more about people's talent and ability to craft, it's kind of like a craftsmanship competition, a little bit more. So that's kind of what you want to showcase, your ability to do that. I don't think she's done anything wrong by entering the competition, but I say that with an asterisk. You know, some people may not have the means. I know the turnout is probably a little smaller just because of the COVID regulations that they had specifically for the convention. I know friends of mine that didn't really agree with it. I know people that just weren't really interested in going. I know people that financially couldn't go. You know, a lot of people are still recovering. This was my first major convention, my first major outing at that, in a post-COVID world. So I definitely understand why, like, the turnout is already lower. Not everybody can afford the time and or money to make a cosplay. So the number of people that are in the competition is already kind of struck down, and specifically black people as well as other people of color. That's already like undercut. So I don't think she did anything wrong by entering the competition, but I will say that the optics of it are not in her favor. I don't know. I mean, if you're in a competition, you're hoping you win. But it is important, I think, to be aware of what it means and what the space kind of is. I can't fault the young lady for winning. She's like, oh, it's a cosplay competition, treating it like every other con. And most cons are probably like predominantly white. This is one of the few slowly growing ones that's a little bit more focused on black people as well as other American minorities, I would say, and kind of marginalized populations. So it kind of falls a little bit more, I think, on the judges at the end of the day, because from also what I've noticed from the conversations, the discourse, is that of the 4 BlerdCon cosplay competitions, only one of them has had a I think overall black winner. I'm not sure about who placed in the other years, but it is interesting to note who of the judges. I believe they had 3 judges. I believe 2 of them were black. From what I saw, they might have all been black. I could be wrong, but I think the responsibility falls a little bit on the judges and potentially on the staff. There may have been a lack of clarity regarding the guidelines of it, or guidelines of the competition. Maybe there were people entering with store-bought costumes. Maybe there were people entering with fully made costumes. I don't know. I didn't enter. I haven't entered a cosplay competition in a couple of years because I just haven't felt as confident in my craftsman's work yet. Maybe someday down the road with some of the more complex costumes, I might do something. But for the time being, I haven't done any in a good couple of years. I kind of wonder what is the best course of action. Because at the end of the day, I'm rooting for everybody black. I'm sorry. I'm rooting for black people, black success, black cosplayers, and there's a bunch of fantastic, amazingly talented black cosplayers out there. And I want them to get kind of the exposure they deserve. But I wonder, in order to have this space that was created with black nerds in mind, I don't want to say exclusively for black nerds, but definitely focused and predominantly for that sect of the community. And you have Asian nerds, Latin nerds, native, indigenous nerds as well. And I think if they had their own conventions, I'd love to go, maybe enter competition and stuff like that. But I also would probably be kind of aware, because it's just like, I think a lot of the criticisms that Blerd is receiving is due to the fact that it feels, trying to pick my words carefully, it feels almost disrespectful, I think, to the community that it's saying that it's trying to be an advocate for. I'm not saying that those are my feelings explicitly, but I think those are kind of some of the feelings amongst the community right now, and that it is kind of jading people's willingness to engage as well, because they don't want it to just become just another con for all the non-white people or non-straight people, and et cetera and so forth. A lot of other blerds want it to maintain its identity as being a safe haven for black nerds to embrace their nerdiness and their geekiness and their talents and have these interesting conversations about what it means to be like at that intersection of being black and being being in fandoms. That kind of subsect of the community, a kind of for us by us mentality about like, how do we invest in our community? Well, like, if I'm making a sweeping large comparisons, like, things like Black Wall Street, how do we keep money in circulation in our communities? Well, we'll create our own communities that serve themselves, and we'll keep money circling that way. So kind of like, how do we embrace and create safe spaces for this aspect of our culture? Well, we create space that's primarily focused on that. So it's not so much that people will be dissuaded, but more so that we want them to be aware of their presence in that, you know, kind of like you're visiting into the community, you're visiting into the culture and what that means, because like this is a space for Black people. So all that being said, what do we do going forward? I'm not sure. You can hypothetically, you can try doing a general cosplay competition that's open for everybody, and then maybe one that's more focused towards blerds specifically. I think the thing that I would slightly be worried about running into is potential people feeling discriminated against. But like, granted, is like, you know, you have the general right there. I think a lot of people feel like the space is almost being invaded or colonized in a sense by some people. So it's like, you could host a specific division focused specifically for blerds, and then just be like, there's the general cosplay competition, then there's the blerd cosplay competition. You know, I think people would see it almost like separating the, like if you had a competition only for, you know, males and one only for females, or one for men or women, or one for adults, one for children, one for pros, one for amateurs, etc. and so forth. So kind of treating it that way. I don't think it's a terrible idea, but I'd also be worried about, you know, what qualifies as being Black, because, you know, you could get somebody in there that's like Logic, or Logic's baby. It's like, you know, my granddad is fully Black, or, you know, my grandma's Black. Is like, how do you kind of, I don't want there to be a gatekeeping of Blackness in a space that's supposed to be safe for Black people. That's my primary concern, I would say. You know, it's like, I can't be the harbinger of negrosity. You know, I can't sit there and be like, you're not Black enough to participate in this cosplay competition, son. As someone that is fully Black, I don't run the event. But it's like, that may be a solution, but I don't know how you do that without somebody feeling away. I don't think you can only do it like, well, this is a Blacks only cosplay competition, because Blacks aren't going to be the only ones there. They're going to be primarily the people that are there, and I'm okay with, you know, more Black people the merrier, more Black cosplayers. Hell the fuck yes. Yeah, all of the Black cosplayers, give them here. I don't know what the answer is, but I do think it opens up a very interesting door for conversation within Black fandom about how do we kind of protect our spaces. I think BlerdCon is well intentioned. You know, I want to continue supporting it, continue in participating in it and everything and so forth. But in regards to this incident specifically, I don't exactly have the answer of how we solve it. So for right now, the only thing I can think of is like potentially doing a general one that everybody can be in, and then maybe one that's more focused towards blerds specifically. I don't think accuracy should really be a role in it, because there's only so many Black characters that we can cosplay. I'd say you focus on talent and craftsmanship, as well as maybe a tiny bit of character. Like, you know, how much do you kind of embody this person that you're dressed as? You know, if I see a cutie pie sensei, or you know, my Don the Blasian Demon, you know, dressed as Virgil. When I see him dressed as Virgil, I know that he's Virgil. He's not Black Virgil. He's Virgil. The way he moves the sword around, it's big fucking Virgil energy. If I see, you know, Cutie Pie Sensei walking around dressed as Shuri or Captain Marvel or something, she's Captain Marvel, or she's Shuri. You know, it's about kind of getting into it. It's like, what do you know, bring back cosplay skits, yo. Those are things I miss from competitions, like having little groups collab and do little live skits and performances. Let's get some of those in there, you know. Don't only let it be like a competition. I think you can add a little bit of showmanship to it, and especially with how beautifully talented and creative, you know, we as members of the Black community can be, especially Black fandom, you know, come with some amazing ideas. I mean, I saw somebody do a storm bankai. I wish I got a photo of it. I might have to find it for this video, but that shit was so fucking cool. Like, you know, have different rungs in it. You know, you can have like, yeah, this is the best crafted, but it's like, this is the most original. You know, this is the most original, most unique. You know, kind of spice up what goes into these competitions. And I understand that there's kind of a lot to consider there, because you also have other things that are going on. You have other panels that you want during the weekend or the day. You have all these different things kind of coinciding with one another in terms of scheduling, and you're trying to organize it so that people can kind of maximize their time the best they can, because you can't make everything. I didn't make everything while I was there. I missed a lot of shit that I actually wanted to see just because I was probably busy making friends or eating or some shit like that, or getting photos taken. But nonetheless, I think what we can kind of do is continue having this conversation, because I think it's certainly an interesting one. It's made me think a lot about the notion of a safe space for Black people, especially Black nerds, and what our history has kind of been in fandom. I think there's a lot to kind of explore here from this incident, and hopefully it leads somewhere positive. I know one of the founders of Blerd actually came out and made some comments on the incident. I started watching it. I need to finish it. It's like 25 minutes, you know, give me a break. I was watching Space Jam. But yeah, I think the fact that it hit the point where people were like the heads have to address it certainly says something about how the community responded to it, especially like the BlerdCon community itself. You know, there's already a little bit in the hot water for the whole vaccine mandate, which nonetheless, there was still a shit ton of people there. I'd say like probably still 1,000, couple thousand. Might have been hundreds. I think it was a couple thousand, but yeah. So let's keep the conversation going, you know, based off of how I've described it. I want to know your thoughts. Were you at the convention? Did you enjoy it? What would you change? How would you address this whole little cosplay conundrum? So I'm editing the video, and the winner put out a statement saying that she was actually actively in the process of stepping down as the winner, and decided that she was gonna go forward with returning the prizes. So that's the update on that, but points still stand. What would your solution be? You know, how do we kind of keep it a nice open space for everybody to attend, but also make sure that it does still maintain the laurels of why it was originally founded, to kind of keep healthy open spaces for Black people to be themselves without being mocked or ridiculed or encountering racism and whatnot. Yeah, so that's gonna do it for me. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel. You know, I'm dropping new podcasts pretty much weekly, hopefully weekly. Been busy with a lot of work, but I do have a couple different projects up in the pipeline when I get a chance to you know, really focus on them. Life has been busy, y'all. You know, the fact that I could take 3 days just to go to a convention and have some fun says a lot. Thank you for watching this video. If you stuck around to the end, I really appreciate you. Please check out my other videos, especially my American Pie retrospective. Worked really hard on that. And give my podcast a listen to, the Ace Podcast, where I talk all things art, culture, and entertainment, but more specifically pop culture entertainment. With that being said, I've been Will the Greatest. Be great to one another, and I'll see you in the next video. Follow me on Instagram. Bye.